Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today with a quick look at the solar system of Galarian, also known as the Pact world system. We are at the point where most of the remaining planets we haven't talked about are either gas or mechanical. The one solid earthen one will have to wait for another day, because today we are going to a place where dreamers reside, literally. It is Liavara on the menu today, so let's get started. Liavara is a gas giant, a planet without any solid surface in the center, just thick clouds of gas. And that means thick. The gas is serving as a kind of ocean, which ramps up in pressure the deeper you go to the core. The density leads to the formation of several gas compounds rare throughout the rest of the galaxy, leading to plenty of gas mining efforts. The planet is also known for being the only planet with a visible dust ring around it, and also has several large moons which sustain life. But life also lives on the planet, though the most famed is not native to the planet. The Dreamers are Barathas, who long ago traveled to the planet, but for some reason became like wild animals, though there is argument whether this is a devolution or an enlightenment. It is the reason why the planet of Bethesda claims the planet as a protectorate. Of course, there is an entire food chain of creatures in the clouds. There is an entire ocean of creatures close to the core, and there is life on many of the moons. Special mention, of course, goes to space whales. Now, this is the perfect time to look at today's first side tangent, the part of the show where we look deep into what was once hidden. Batrids are a strange people, only being discovered a few years ago despite their home being in the middle of the Pact world system. They were in stasis beneath the surface of the moon Hib, before they awakened for unknown reasons, the gap having burned away all knowledge of the species' history. Batrids are known for their strange anatomy. Their lower half, a ball, rolled by cilia, and their upper half being column-like, with all the central passing features in a small area. Their entire culture is focused on motion, and they feel a deep anxiety if they are forced to be in one place for too long. Now, with so much land to cover, let's begin with the main planet. Roselight is the main city, developed for mining of gases, and the only official settlement. The city replaced the old mining platform, the Old Hulk, which does still exist like a ghost in the fog, despite most systems having failed long ago. Two other small settlements exist. The Deep Station, which exists to collect data on the innermost parts of the planet, and Sidon, a small commune on the exact opposite side of the planet from Roselight, whose residents focus on developing psychic powers. There's also a cluster of flying rocks on the north side of the planet, known as a cluster, where there have been proposals to try to build a city, but the ground shifts too much for that to be stable. Outside of these places, locations called epifarms have been created across the cloud tops to grow food, and there is constant churning of gases in the south, known as the vents. Going through a few of the landmarks outside of the surface, we of course have the rings. Made mostly of ice and dust, they also contain crystals that contain every vibration which has ever passed through them. This might be what attracts the large numbers of space whales to the area. As for smaller moons, all referred to as shepherd moons as opposed to the big five moons, the most notable is, as mentioned before, Hib, home to the Batrids. Upwell is a once empty moon now serving as the main spaceport of the area, and where the only legal access to Roselight is found. Black Scion is home to an apostate outpost, where they watch the gas mining patiently, doing absolutely nothing which would get authorities involved with them. Smaller moons without names technically include S-288, but many refer to it as the Hull Heap, due to the sheer number of destroyed ships which have found themselves drawn to its surface. Finally, S-569 is a moon which recently suddenly changes course, meaning if nothing is done soon, it will crash into the moon of Osoro. But before we get to the moons, let's take a look at Side Tangent 2. Since we are short on full write-ups of deities, let's look at one of the two which are celebrated on Liavara that we know of. This is Ibra, the Inscrutable, deity of celestial bodies, the cosmos, and the mysteries of the universe. Little is known about Ibra and its origins, which works just fine for the deity who encourages his worshippers to continue to seek answers. Even its oldest temples are found in places uninhabited and in the vacuum of space. It pushes the universe as a beautiful place, but one needs to use their own knowledge to find that beauty themselves, or it has no point. It is astronomers, mathematicians, and interstellar explorers who tend to most strongly worship them, as well as many Solarians. But back on our main topic, since we just mentioned Osoro, let's go with that next. While Liavara is a protectorate in the Pact world system, the mountain civilization also has made it itself a member of the Pact worlds, which is kind of impressive when you consider the civilization is built on mountaintops, surrounded by seas of poisonous gas. The capital is Orosalos, built on the highest mountain of the same name. Other notable settlements include Saborosan, built into a ridge and attempting to build underground residence, and Tholim, the second largest spaceport next to Upwell. Finally, Blakowski, let me sound this one out. Balakowski Excursions is a company which leads wilderness retreats into the poison mist. Sounds stupid, I know, but there are some tourists who are willing to do it. The other moon, which is a full member of the Pact Worlds, is Harkonnen. This planet is famed for continuously bleeding its atmosphere, its orbit allowing it to pass through the atmosphere of Liavara yearly to restock on its own. The planet is also home to several life forms known as Sazarans, which resemble humanoids and centaurs. The largest city on both the moon and the entirety of Liavara's orbit is Teleterranos, which is home to the largest concentration of magical academies in the Pact Worlds. Which seems to be time to talk about our third side tangent, the Senate. After the gap, the rivalries between the magic schools of Teleterranos was so high it threatened to tear the city apart. In response, the city established the Spell Education Network of Teletranos, or Senat for short, a system where the schools could retain independence, but where resources like funding and libraries would be shared between them. While this only started with the smaller schools, the success led to even the largest in the city joining. That said, it is still the small schools which have the specialized focuses and one-on-ones with teachers which are the heart of the network. It also has a bit of a reputation for being a party school, especially when the school is on break for Harkonnen's yearly dive into Liavara's atmosphere. Nothing to do but party. Now we move on from members to protectorates, despite petitions to have that changed. Nchak is a planet of various insectoid species, long home to a being known as the Forever Queen. Now we know it to be as a physical manifestation of the god Haliex, or at least some denominations believe so. It's complicated. Anyway, with this, the residents of the planet have been petitioning to have their planet's status changed. The center of worship of such an important deity, deserving equal rights to other member moons. But for now, change is slow coming. One of the residents of Nchak is going to be our final side tangent today. The Trox. The Trox are people who have been related to the planet for a long time, but have gone through various large changes over the centuries. They once walked on 8 legs, but the blessing of the goddess Haliex made them bipedal. They have great love for the Forever Queen and built many of their cities around the Forever Halls, or instead in the planet's hot springs. They are a combination of social and individualistic creatures. They're not quite asocial as you find many insectoid species to be, but instead always willing to help others, seeing their duty to be part of the larger civilization. That said, they remember their species slaveries to the Hagathians, or still Draugrs in Starfinder for just a little longer, and know enough to not let themselves get imprisoned again. Now, from the moons with citizenship, or dreams thereof, to the one empty moon, we have Melos. Melos did once have a rich civilization, but before contact was made by any other people, they disappeared in an event known as a taking, only leaving markings to hint at what might have happened to them. The main city is Etrios, now in ruins, though some fanatical worshippers of Elaritu are trying to repeat the taking, whatever that actually means. Those with an actual archaeological interest have set up a small outpost on the city's outskirts, known as Guest. Finally, the last of the 5 main moons, we have Hollis. Hollis is a moon which is inhabited, but which has no contact with the outside world. This is because, long ago, the people of Hollis guided their evolution to become entities of pure energy. No need to eat or sleep, which is all well and good until the time another group of people tried to develop first contact, only for their heads to explode. The people of our continent put up a force field to keep a safe line between the potential exploded heads, and to this day there have been no contact between the inside and outside. Not that the people of Hollis seem to even care. Which brings us to the end of this week's video. Actually counting, we should be finished with the Pact worlds by the end of the year. However, those are things we can worry about in the months to come. For next week, we are actually finishing up another project I have been working on for a long time. Just in time to start another one. I'll see you all then.